Have you ever wondered how all these video editors create these smooth animations? Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to master the 3D camera in After Effects. So let's get right into it. So first, we are going to make a new solid layer and we are going to apply a 4-color gradient effect on it. Okay, so you can choose whatever color palette you have, but for this one, I'm going all black and I'm going to do dark blue right here just to make some aesthetic look, and I'm gonna go purple right here. Okay, these colors looks good. Now we are going to just adjust the points, make sure that there are at random places and the color should blend in very well. Okay, now we are going to make another new solid layer. We are going to name it grid and we are going to apply a grid effect to it. Alright, make sure you change from corner point to width slider. So you have perfect squares. We are going to change the border to 1.5 and increase the width. Alright, now we are going to make this new layer 3D and we are going to open up the rotation and we are going to change the X rotation to -80 degree. Increase it a bit more. Alright, this looks good. Now what we are going to do is we are going to increase the scale of the whole layer just so we don't have any clipping on the edges, and just adjust the width as well. And we are going to adjust the width as well. Alright, so now what we are going to do is we are going to apply a motion tile effect on it and just increase the width and height to around 400. And as you can see, there's like a clipping on the borders, right? So we increase the border with motion tile. To fix that, just put the motion tile on top of every effect. Alright, so this looks good. Okay, now one problem with our background is there's like a really sharp edge. So to fix that, we are going to make a new solid layer and we are going to name it matte. I'm just gonna change the color. Alright, now we are going to apply a simple gradient ramp effect to it and just disable the layer. Okay, we are going to adjust the point toward the center and make sure there's like a small distance between both points because like we want a small gradient. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to luma matte this grid layer to the above matte layer, so the grid only applies to only the light part. Alright, okay, so this looks good. We have blended the borders. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is our text. So we are going to choose like a good font, something similar to this. Alright, and we are going to write our text. Now for the main text, make sure the anchor point is in center and you have aligned the text as well. Alright, so we are going to change the font for the wondered. Alright, this looks good. Now we are going to just align it with our grid. So just make sure to scale it down a bit. We are going to make this 3D as well. And what we are going to do now is we are going to go to custom view. And as you can see, there's no way of telling if the text is beneath the grid or above the grid. So basically, in order to observe that, we are going into our effect and change the blending mode to normal. So as you can see, the text is beneath our floor. So we are just going to make it so it's above the floor. Alright, so go to active camera again and change the blending mode to none again. Alright, so we are going to make a new null layer. We are going to make it 3D. And for that, just make sure the null layer is completely aligned with the text layer. Make sure this is really important. So as you can see, this is aligned. Alright, now we are going to link our text and our grid floor, not the matte and not the background, to the null layer. Alright, and we are going to keyframe the rotation and the position. And we are going to go a little further in the scene. Just drag the keyframes across. Now what we need to do is we need to set up our main position point. So we are going to go to the end keyframes and we're just going to set the position of where we want the camera to be. So just decrease the position to around 6 or 7. Alright, so this looks good, and again make sure it is in the center. You can check this with the proportional grid. Alright, now we are going to go to the start and we are going to make a simple zoom out animation. Just decrease the position. And we are also going to change the rotation as well, so this rotation works. Just play with the settings, it completely depends on your choice. Alright, now we are going to press F9 and we are going to change the graph to something like this. So make sure it is really sharp in the start. Okay, so as you can see, this looks pretty good. Just change the keyframe distance a bit more. Alright, one thing I did here is I have applied a text animation on this layer, as you can see. If I just play it, and just to show you the keyframes, this is how it looks like. And similarly, I duplicated it 3 times to add these 3 dots, and I just displaced them by a few frames. So as you can see, everything looks in sync, and looks super cool. All right, so this is how everything looks like. Okay, the next thing we are going to do, and this is the secret to making smooth animations, we are going to make a new null layer. And what we are going to do is we are going to make it 3D, and we are going to connect the first one to the second one, and we are going to keyframe everything. Now, one thing you need to note is that the keyframe should be overlapped with the first null layer. And we are going to change the X rotation to around 80 or 90, something like this, just so we have like a bird's eye view of the camera. And we are going to increase the Z position as well, so it zooms out. Make sure not to adjust the scale or decrease the scale. We have to adjust the Z position to add a parallax effect, and just change the Y rotation as well, something like this, and just adjust it so the text is in the middle. Something like this is good. And we are going to keyframe the scale as well, just to have a little bit of scale as well. All right, this looks good. We are going to press F9 on our keyboard, and we are going to go to graph editor, and we are going to make a relatively sharp graph, not super sharp, and make sure it is not too stale, right? And just make sure the keyframes are overlapped, because this is the main tip to make smooth animations. This is how every creator does it. As you can see, this looks good, but we need to have the text on the screen for a while. This is moving too fast, so we are going to adjust the graph, not the keyframes. Just don't change the keyframe position. Make sure to adjust the graph first, then the keyframes. Now this looks good. Now one problem we have right here is we have half grid, and this is because we matted the grid, if you remember in the start. Now what we are going to do to fix that is we are going to apply some effects on the matte layer. We are going to apply a tint effect, and we are going to make it fully white, and just keyframe the amount of tint from 100 to 0, something like this. Keyframe it right here, and the first keyframe will be 0, and just play with the position. It needs to be seamless. As you can see, it needs a bit more smoothness or something like this. Okay, as you can see, this looks pretty good. Make sure to easy ease the keyframe as well. Alright, the next step is to add the Mac tabs, and for that I have made these compositions with simple shape layers. As you can see, we have the windows, the icons and everything, and we are going to drop these composition into our main composition, so something like this. And now we are going to make a 3D and just change the Z position so it is really far, and make sure to adjust the scale as well. Now I'm going to drop the other sides as well, something like this, and just make sure they are the same sizes, because we are going to change the size with the scale and Z position. We are going to make everything 3D, and we are going to change the Z position of each layer, and make sure the distance is at least 1,000 or more, because we want like a parallax effect on it. And similarly, we are going to change the Z position for this as well, something like this. Just adjust the settings to whatever you may like. Now one thing to note is that we are doing the settings, but we have to adjust this manually as well, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. Okay, just adjust the settings as may you like. Now we are going to connect these to the null layer beneath the last null layer, so not the recent one but the one before that, so it follows the motion accordingly. Now as you can see, the timing is way off, like we need the tabs to come earlier, so like right here. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go to custom view, we are going to zoom out, and we are going to just change the Z position manually, and just go to active camera and just put it manually. Now make sure you have the keyframe and the graph right before this, like don't change the graph or the keyframe too much after. Okay, now just adjust these as well, something like this. This All right, as you can see, the positions are way off. Like the timing is correct now, but the positions are way off. So to fix that, we are going to change the position and scale. Not necessarily the Z position only, but just make sure to play around with the settings of the transform. Okay, now we are going to make another null layer, and we are going to connect the previous one to this one. Make sure it is 3D. All right, now we are going to keyframe the rotation and the position as well. Okay, for this, the overlapping needs to be way more than the previous one, because ultimately we are still doing one motion, but we don't want it to be too fast or too slow. We want a slight stop in the middle, and then it is going to zoom out in the UI animation, which we are going to do later. Just keyframe the scale as well and the Z position. All right, now we are going to go to the graph editor, and we are going to make a slightly sharp graph. All right, something like this. Make sure to play with the settings of the graph. Even a tiny bit can influence the animation a lot. All right, let me just play it. Okay, this looks good, but now the problem is that the mag tabs or the previous work is not being focused, like it is moving away too fast. And this is because of the overlapping of the keyframe. As you can see, like it should be much bigger and should be a bigger stop right here, if that makes sense. So we are going to just change the position of the keyframes to something like this. And we are also going to change the Z position so it is zoomed in, so the size is much bigger. Now if you play this, as you can see, it is much better. Okay, so now we are going to just adjust the settings, change the scale, change the Z position to make sure the timing and the location is right. Okay, so this looks good. One thing we are also going to do is we are going to go to the graph editor of the last null layer and make the graph a little bit more sharp. What this would do is basically it would increase the stop between the layers. Okay, so going toward the next step, I have downloaded this like Mac wallpaper from somewhere. I think it was a YouTube video. I would put that link in the description. And I also made this Mac window, so let me just drop it. And as you can see, this has like a matte in the middle. So what we are going to do is we are going to drop a linear color key effect, and we are going to basically just key out the color. All right, this looks good. Okay, so one problem right now is that we are seeing the background image beneath the Mac design, and we want our previous animation to be there. So we are going to duplicate the Mac main layer, and we are going to disable the linear color key and apply a fill effect, so it is complete red solid. And we are going to match the background to the red layer. Make sure it is alpha inverted, so as you can see, the background is transparent. Okay, now as you can see, we have our previous animation instead of the background. And let me just change the matte layer color, and I'm also going to select all these layers, and we are going to connect it to the null layer, not the last one but the layer before that. Okay, now if I play it, as you can see, it works. However, the timing is way off. Like we want the Mac tab to come in right here, right? So what we're going to do is similarly like the last time, I'm going to connect the matte layer to the Mac main layer, and I'm going to change the Z position, because we have done rotation, so the Z axis is now the Y axis. I don't know why that happened, but it does. Okay, now basically we have just adjusted the Z position to offset the timing a little bit earlier, and we are going to change the scale, not the Z position. Make sure the Z position remains the same. Just change the scale to whatever you like. So this looks good. Alright, now one problem we have is that the parallax effect is too much. So again, we are going to change the Z position to decrease the parallax effect a bit. Okay, as you can see, this looks much better. Alright, now one thing I forgot to add is I have also made this taskbar, right, with the icons I downloaded from somewhere. And we are going to make it 3D. We are going to increase the Z position and decrease the scale. Basically what this is going to do is this is going to make sure the properties is original, but we have the parallax effect, if that makes sense. And we are also going to add the Mac cursor. We are going to make it 3D. And what we have to do is we have to change the scale, not the Z position, the scale. And one cool thing we are going to do is we are going to make a 3D and just connect it to the last null layer, and we don't have to add any keyframes because we have parallax effect. It is also going to animate automatically. As you can see, we have no keyframe there, but it animates automatically just because of the parallax. Now the next step in our animation is to add the sliding part. For this I have my previous work right here. Okay, we are going to make it 3D. We are going to change the Z position so it is beneath the Mac layer, and just change the scale and everything. Alright, and we are going to connect it again with the last null layer. We are going to change the position, the Y position to be specific, something like this. So we have like a sliding animation, and we are going to adjust the graph of this. Make sure it is really sharp. Alright, now if I just play this. Now the problem right now is the animation is coming very clear. So what we are going to do to fix this is we are going to just delay the layer and delete the keyframe as well. So something like this. And we are going to also choose a different frame for the animation. Okay, this looks pretty good. Okay, now we are going to just play the animation a couple of times and fix a few things. For example, the size of the Mac tab here. Just adjust the Z position and the scale of it. Alright. Now if I just play this. Okay, as you can see, this is the first part of our animation, basically completely done. Alright, now we are going to select everything, press U on our keyboard, and we are going to cut all of this to this first marker because we are going to make a transition to the next scene. Alright, for the next part, we are going to make a new solid layer, and we are going to apply a 4-color gradient on this layer. For this, make sure to have a similar dark background so the transition is really smooth. And what I'm doing here right now is I'm going to change this color to a really lighter shade of cyan. So we have a small ambient lighting as well. Make sure to adjust the points. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is I have made these tags, and we are going to drop it into our composition, and we are also going to type a text, and make sure to change the font to something professional. I'm using SFUI display, and just adjust the settings to fit in the tag, and I'm going to connect this to the tag composition so we don't have to change the position of individual one, and just duplicate it as whatever amount you like. And I'm going to change the text to this, and in this to video. Okay, this looks good. And we are going to just change the position randomly. Alright, this looks good. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to keyframe the position of the tag, and we are going to displace it in x axis, and we are going to go to the graph editor and make it really sharp, because this motion is for the transition. For smoothness, we are going to do a new null layer. Alright, and we are also going to displace the layers, so we have like a parallax side effect. I don't know what it is called, but it looks cool. Alright, so just make sure it feels smooth, but it is also fast. I'm also going to add a motion tile on the background so we don't see the black edges of the background when we zoom out or when we zoom into the side. And for the transition, we are going to make a new null layer, and we are going to connect the tag composition, not the text. Make sure to connect the text on the tag composition, and we are going to change the position of it to something like this, and we are going to change the graph to really sharp. Alright, this is looking pretty nice. Okay, similarly for the previous animation, what we are going to do is we are going to make a new null layer and we are going to connect the previous null layer to this new one. Make sure it is 3D. Just make sure that all the null layers are 3D. If you have one null layer 2D, it is going to mess up the whole animation. And we are going to change the position to something like this, and as you can see we are cutting off from the border, so we are going to add a motion tile effect right here. Make sure to click on mirror edges, and we are just going to change the X position as well, and make sure to change the graph for this as well. So if I just play it right now, as you can see, this feels really smooth. All right. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to make a focus zoom on the video tag. So just make everything 3D in this animation and just connect the previous null layer to the above null layer. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to keyframe the position and scale, and we are going to go back one keyframe. And what we are going to do now is we are going to increase the scale and change the position to focus on a video tag. Something like this. Okay, one problem we are having right now is that tags are blurred. So to fix that, just select all of them and click on completely rasterize, as long as you have made it with a shape layer, and just adjust the position. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to go a bit farther in the scene and just keyframe the position here and go to the second keyframe and change it to the right a bit. Similarly, we are going to select it and adjust the graph to make it sharp. The goal is to carry out the momentum instead of just zooming in into one part. So if I play it from a bit earlier, as you can see, the momentum is carrying out. Just make sure to adjust the positions and scale. And I'm going to increase the length of it as well. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now what we are going to do is, again, we are going to make a new null layer, make sure it is 3D, and we are going to keyframe the position and the Z rotation of it. Okay, just keyframe it and drag all the keyframes so it is overlapped with the previous keyframes. And we are going to go a bit further into the scene, and what we are going to do is we are going to change the Z rotation to 90 degrees, and we are also going to change the Y position so it is way off the camera. Now the amount of Y position change depends on how far the animation you want it to be. And now we are going to select all the keyframes, go into the graph editor. For this one, we will make the graph a bit sharper rather than completely smooth. Something like this. And as you can see, we have a major problem that the tags don't scale down. And this is because we have it on rasterize. This disables the scaling, I don't know why. So to fix that, what we are going to do, we can just disable it. But the problem with this right now is the tags are blurred, right? Like it is not super clear, if that makes sense. As you can see here, it is not clear, right? So to fix that, I did a trick. So what I did, basically, I selected all of the tags and text, and I also selected the null layer that it is connected to. So second null layer, I duplicated it and I put all of this above. And the next thing I did is I pre-comped it, right? So just right click, recompose, name it something. Okay, so if I solo this layer, as you can see, it is only the tag, and make sure to completely rasterize into the composition. For example, click on the rasterize button on the tags within the composition. All right. So we are going to cut the bottom ones because we don't need it. We have exchanged it from the composition, and just make sure it is starting from the next motion, right? Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to make sure the bottom layers is rasterized so we don't have that low quality, right? And we are going to connect it to the new null layer. And as you can see, the problem right now, it is cutting off, the edge is cutting off. To fix that, what we can do is go into the composition, go into composition settings and increase the width of it, right? So we have more of the tags. So if I play this, as you can see, it's working fine. But one thing I don't like right now is the how it's rotating, right? So to fix that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the difference between the Z rotation and change the graph to a bit earlier. So basically what it is going to do is it is going to rotate the camera earlier and move it a bit later, right? Just make sure to adjust the graphs. As you can see, the rotation comes earlier and then the camera moves down. All right. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to make a new shape layer, and this for the line stroke. So we are going to make it complete white, and we are going to make the path along the tag composition, and we are going to increase the width to fit the size of the tag. Now one thing we are going to do is we need rounded edges, so just go into stroke settings and change the cap to round cap, and make sure to adjust the path so it completely fits the tag, right? All right, this looks good. Now make it 3D, and we are going to connect it to the null layer before the last one, right? Not the last one, but the one before it, right? Okay. The thing we want with the stroke line is we want it to follow the camera motion like downwards, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to go a bit farther where the keyframes are ending. Make sure to zoom out so you can see the stroke line, and just change the path, and make sure to hold shift to make a complete straight line. As you can see, it is completely straight. Okay. So now what we are going to do is I'm going to apply a 0 to 100 trim paths. This is basically to make the animation, right? If you know how to use trim paths, this is really simple. And we are going to change the graph a bit to make it a bit smoother. All right. Now this looks good, but one problem right now is the stroke appears out of nowhere, right? It is not animating properly. To fix that, it is really easy. What we are going to do is we are going to open up the stroke settings, go to shape 1, go to stroke 1, and we are going to animate the width. So it is 226 right now, or 228, and we are going to make it 0, right? Just make sure to adjust the distance. And one more thing we are going to do to make it a bit more appealing is we are going to keyframe the stroke with here and make it really thin. So you don't have to do this, but it looks really cool. So, and just change the distance of the keyframe, go into the graph editor, and make sure to make it a bit more smoother, right? All right, this looks good. Just make sure to adjust the distance to get whatever you like. All right, the next thing we are going to do is I have made this camera icon. So we are going to drop it in, right? And we are going to make it 3D, and we are going to change the Z position so it is a bit farther from the camera, right? It is completely not in front, right? And this is just to make the parallax effect. And similarly, make a new shape layer, and we are going to make the side rings. Just make a circle shape layer, change the width to around 17, and we are going to go into the settings and click on these dashes, right, and increase the dashes. And what we are going to do is just click on the dashes again, and you have the gap option as well, right? Just change it to whatever you like, and you are going to change the color to gradient and just change it to something like this. All right, and we are going to change the handles something like this, and we are also going to make a 3D, and we are going to change the Y rotation and the X rotation as well. You want like a depth to the race, right? And just make sure to decrease or increase the Z position because like we want like a parallax effect, right? And we are going to change the position and just scale it down a bit. All right. Okay, just duplicate the layer, change the color a bit, right? So we have a bit of wearing. We are going to change the stroke as well, and similarly change the rotation. We are basically adding these rings to make a bit more depth in the scene, right? Similarly, we are going to change the Z position so it is really far off the camera. And the more you have the difference in the position, the Z position, the more parallax effect is going to be, right? So just keep that in mind. We are also going to duplicate it once more, change the rotation, change the color a bit, right? And just change the stroke width as well. And just change the position, the transform properties to get whatever you like. For this one, I'm going to make it so it is in front of the camera. All right. Okay, one thing right now is everything looks a bit dry in terms of shapes, right? So we are going to add a Gaussian blur and increase the amount, right? All right. Okay, so as you can see, this looks really good. We have a bit of depth in the scene. Okay, now if I just play the scene, the next animation, right? As you can see, this looks really good. Now, one thing as you can see is the After Effects icon appears, right? So basically what I did right here is if I go into the camera composition, I just made the After Effects logo, right, appear with the opacity, really simple. And in order to make the animation for that, we are going to make a new null layer, make it 3D. Now, before we connect it, right, go to custom view. And as you can see, the position of the null layer is way off, right? So just increase the Z position so it aligns with the camera icon, right? Now, the reason for this is going to help us add a rotation into the camera. We are going to go to active camera and we are going to connect the previous null layer to the next one. Keyframe position and X rotation in this. We are going to go later on in the composition and we are going to change the Z position so it zooms in, right? And similarly, we are also going to adjust the X rotation. Now select both of the keyframes and go to graph editor and we are going to make a somewhat sharp graph to the left right here. So as you can see, something like this. And if I play this, now as you can see, the icon move way less than the background because of the parallax effect. And if I play the whole animation, this is how it looks like. Okay, we have a small problem right here. As you can see, like there's a bit of flickering right here, and I think this is because of the overlapping of the compositions. So as you can see right here, okay, yeah. So just clip it one frame earlier, and this is going to fix the whole issue. And yeah, we're basically done. If you have enjoyed this tutorial and you learned something from it, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want the project file of this tutorial along with the assets, everything is going to be linked in my Discord server, which will be linked in the description of this video. And if you guys want any specific tutorial, make sure to tell me in the Discord server as well. And yeah, I'll see you with the next one.